Mullins. Here. Lee. Here. Dessler. McGrath. Sullivan. Owen.
Here. Okay, first order of business is a wonderful meeting. Every month we present achievement awards to students, outstanding students. Tonight is a special night because we have students who nominate parents. So we're going to go ahead and honor our outstanding parents, beginning with Mays.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure on behalf of the faculty and staff of Maine East to recognize and honor Kathy Ponzio as Maine East's outstanding parent nominee in recognition of her support not only of her own children, but for kids in all of our athletic programs at Maine East High School. So, Kathy, would you stand? Following is an excerpt of the nominating statement that we received from her son, Victor. My name is Victor Ponzio. I'm a senior at Maine East. I also currently have a sister, Alexis, who's a sophomore. The son of the Athletic Boosters president, Kathy Ponzio. During my time here at Maine East, my mother has always been very involved in both my academic and athletic endeavors. She always preached that it is my responsibility to be the best both in and outside of the classroom. What separates and differentiates my mom from most parents is her unconditional support for me, my teammates, and all Maine East teams and organizations. Both of my parents not only graduated from Maine East, but continue to spend tireless hours here to promote and support Maine East athletics. I'm pretty sure my parents spent more time here during my 4 years than they did when they were in school here. My sophomore year, my mother became president of the Athletic Boosters and has served in that role for the past 3 years. Even with all the added responsibilities of that position, as well as having 2 kids involved in multiple sports, my sister and I are both 3-sport athletes, my mom only missed a total of 3 contests in my 4-year career, which is pretty amazing. In meeting with Victor, he shared a number of ways that his mother has routinely supported student athletes of Maine East. He coordinated and contributed to weekly football pasta dinners, brought food for the entire teams during tournaments, served as the chauffeur for Victor and his friends, both to and from contests and practices, always dressed in Maine East spirit wear, and tirelessly stocked and worked the concession stands for all sporting events. While many of the accomplishments Victor listed had to do with food, what Kathy did as the president of the Athletic Boosters in the past 3 years is truly remarkable. According to Athletic Director Steve Schanz, Kathy quickly emerged in the Athletic Booster organization as a positive force, willing to help in any fashion. Under Kathy's leadership as Booster president, she is directly responsible for much improved relationships between the coaches and the Booster program, better visibility for the program, increased membership, and updated websites and use of social media to promote Maine East athletics. I'm pleased to recognize Kathy Ponzio as an outstanding parent who has positively impacted the lives of literally hundreds of students at Maine East, in addition to the love and support she has shown her own children. As a school, we're deeply appreciative of her dedicated service. In summary, in Victor's own words, nobody could ask for a more loving and caring parent. She has shown me her true dedication and support, and I truly believe that she deserves this award. Congratulations.
Next up, we have Maine South.
It's a pleasure that I present Dragutin and Amna Mari. I'd like to read the letter submitted by their daughter, Andrew. The story that brings me to this moment is not an easy one to share. Growing up in Croatia during the 60s, 70s, and 80s was not very different than growing up here, I would imagine. My parents had fun childhoods, grew into promising adults, fell in love, and got married. They were happy as newlyweds are, with prospects like any other husband and wife, to start a family and build a life for themselves with the love and support of all their family and friends close by. But life had something different in mind for my mom and dad. They were not going to be handed the common problems for a young couple, like picking out a nice house or which neighborhood of Croatia to move to. Though the problems my parents were going to face would consist of staying alive from one day to the next, or going months without seeing each other as war broke out in Croatia. To this day, there are parts of the war that my parents do not speak about. They share stories of seeing friends and neighbors dying in the streets, or of my mom mom losing her first pregnancy due to the adrenaline coursing through her as she ran from a bombing raid in the city. Those stories they share. That means that there are worse things they had to see, scenes that will forever be etched into a speechless memory. I'm not sure whether or not I want to know the details of all the horrors accompanied with war that my parents forcefully experienced, but I know that it changed their lives forever. From the start of the war, my parents knew that Croatia was not going to be a place to raise children. And when my brother and I were born, leaving Croatia to find a better future for us would become a priority for them. So they packed up the little belongings they had, said goodbye to their family and everyone they knew, and moved to the United States. They did not know anyone here, nor the language, and with the burden of 2 young kids to provide for. But from the very beginning, it was never a matter of if for my parents, but when. With no family or friends to lean on, my parents slowly started working towards the life they had wanted to create for my brother and me. They both worked multiple jobs to ensure that my brother and I were able to attend the school system that we do. They sacrificed what should have been one of the best times in their life so that their kids might be given better opportunities than we were. I think there was an understanding among immigrant parents that they won't be the ones who achieve the American dream, but they work hard without complaint so that their kids might have a shot at it. This is why I do not take my education for granted. I know how hard my parents had to work and the sacrifices that they made in order for me to have it. I also know that there is an expectation from me. I refuse to let my parents' sacrifices go to waste. But every day my parents amaze me. Despite all of the sorrow forced upon them throughout their lives, it has only made them stronger. My parents are my heroes because every day they wake up with a new resolve to face the world around them and pave the best road they can for their children. Not only do they face the world every day, but they teach my brother and me how to become the adults we want to be. The beauty of a sunset or the value of a true friend is not taken for granted by them. They have always taught my brother and me to see the beauty in the small things, for they know better than most people that these small gifts we find in our daily routines are the only things that move us from one day to the next. My parents always believed that my brother and I were meant for something bigger than our small town origins, and they have fought since the day we were born for us to be able to discover our full potential. I'm blessed to have been given the parents that I have. Their exemplary tributes of strength, courage, and grit only prove to me that nothing is out of reach. The only limiting factor is my attitude and the amount of work I put forth. Nothing will ever be handed to me, and no one will ever be able to put in the work for me. As my life at home as a kid draws to an end, it leaves me sad. But at the same time, I feel this ambition, a flame that burns within me, kindled by the passion that my parents have shown while chasing their dreams. I will not stop. I will not quit working and giving everything I have to my dreams. I will not stop until I have made my heroes proud.
Okay, go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, I can't see her too.
Next up.
Wow. Okay, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you Ms. Victoria Liwag. Please stand. Her daughter Monica just graduated, and when you meet Monica, you know that she's been brought up by an awesome parent. She's got great standards, she works incredibly hard, and is just a great kid who made a really big difference at UMass. And Monica wrote a really nice letter on behalf of her mom as well. She writes, quote, "Parents are the ultimate role models for children. Every word, movement, and action has an effect. No other person or outside force has a greater influence on a child than a parent," end quote. That quote is the perfect example of what an outstanding parent should be known for. My mom, Victoria Liwag, who is a single parent, has done so much for not just me, but also my friends, family, and especially school, whether it is for athletics or school-wise. This is why I am nominating her for the Outstanding Parent Award, as I feel she deserves it with all the effort she has put forth these past 4 years for me being in high school. Being a single parent isn't the easiest thing, but being a single parent and having to not only take care of their child, but also take care of their parents and a brother with autism is not any easier. What makes my mom an outstanding parent is the way she puts my friends, family, and me before herself. My junior year, I was injured with an ACL injury for 9 months. During those 9 months, she was always there in the stands, even when I was sidelined for half of the basketball season and all of my high school and summer travel softball season. With my academics, she always is checking Aspen to make sure I am on track with my grades and checking up with the teachers on how I am doing by emailing them every now and then, showing she's trying to do what is best for me for my own benefit. On top of her being busy taking care of me, she's worked very hard to get a good degree and has a successful job that she's dedicated to. In addition, the efforts my mom does for the clubs, sports, and events I'm involved in here at Maine West is breathtaking. To start off the list of things she has done starts way back freshman year, when she helped coordinate pre-homecoming and after homecoming for my friend group to make sure we had a memorable homecoming being freshmen. For pre-homecoming, she set up a room for us in Prairie Lakes to have snacks before the dance, emailing all the parents to bring one type of food to provide for kids. And for after homecoming, she set up to have a party room to ourselves at Sky High Trampoline Place. Moving on to sophomore year, she helped during homecoming coordinate for the sophomore girls volleyball team to window paint on a few local windows in restaurants advertising it was Maine West homecoming. Junior year is when she really stepped up and really got out there to help the school out, and that was by helping with the varsity volleyball team, collecting and ordering sweatshirts for us. For basketball, softball, and the class of 2016, she helped out with earning money for both pre-games by setting up Chipotle fundraisers where 50% of the profits would go toward our programs. In setting up this fundraiser, she would have had to call the manager and get the okay and set the date that would best work out, print over 200 flyers for the team to pass out, and then find the final outcome of money we raised from the fundraiser. Being a junior on varsity sports, there's always a senior night, and my mom had helped with volleyball, basketball, and softball to make the seniors have an unforgettable last home game. For this, she helped out with the ordering of t-shirts, pictures, and banners. In the beginning of the year, a group of 20 plus of us senior girls thought it would be a good idea to surprise the football team on their senior night, and we were chipping in money to buy them fat heads for us to hold during the game. My mom also helped out with this by collecting all the money from the girls and ordering the pictures at Walgreens for us. Just like my mom did my junior year, she did it again senior year. She helped with apparel, senior night, and fundraising for both basketball, softball, and this year we earned a total of $1,000 plus for basketball and softball, $500 plus from the Chipotle fundraiser. During the basketball season, my mom was recognized on Parent Night by Coach Kip for the dedication and efforts she did for the program. As she always told Coach Kip, she would be there to help for the next few years, even when I'm away at college. That money going towards the programs helped us get warm-up jackets, new uniforms, senior night for basketball, and new equipment, and the senior night as well for softball, and having extra money for next year. As can be seen, my mom did a lot, not only for me, but also everyone and everything that I was involved in. My mom did everything she could these 4 years of my high school career to make them the best, and she lived up to that. This is why I'm nominating her for the Outstanding Parent Award, because not only do I feel she deserves it, but my friends do as well, especially with her being a single parent. I couldn't be any prouder, come to tears, I couldn't be any prouder of my mom and what she does, and I hope to live up to what she does when I have children one day. Whether it's making sure they are on top of their grades, providing fun activities for them and their friends, or having a good working job, I learned from my mom what it is to be an outstanding mom. Maine West is thankful for all of your assistance and dedication to Maine West. We are very proud of you and love that Monica nominated you as outstanding. Congratulations.
At this time, the award recipients, our wonderful parents, for wonderful stories. Thank you so much for a great example that you set for your children and for all of us. You can now, if you'd like, go into the hall and have some photos taken. It's also an opportunity for you to leave the meeting and not have to, unless you'd like to, sit through the business portion. But thank you very much. I have a couple of cards. Do we have any more? Pardon me?
There are no additional.
No additional, okay. This is the point at which the public can make comments. I do have 2 cards here. Please limit your comments to
address?
Yes, well, we don't have it on the card.
Oh, 7463 Gregory Street,
Okay.
Chicago.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Dr. David Schultz, and I'm a science teacher at Maine East. During my 10 years at East, I've taught all levels of physics, from sophomore through AP, as well as engineering courses. For the last several years, I've served on the District Bell Schedule Committee. This evening, I respectfully invite members of the board to consider the negative impact that the proposed hybrid Bell schedule would have on our students. In this schedule, students would receive 100 fewer minutes of contact time in their science classes each week. Why does this matter? Consider what science education has become in the 21st century. Teaching science isn't just teaching kids to memorize facts. It is teaching skills which extend far beyond the facts, far beyond the science classroom. Science and engineering practices are placed front and center within the next generation science standards. And they were highlighted as global survival skills in the 21st century by Tony Wagner when he addressed district faculty and staff. They include formulating questions, proposing solutions, collaborating with others, analyzing information, applying mathematics, utilizing technology, reading effectively, making and justifying claims based on evidence, writing and speaking. As someone who came to this district for a research position at Argonne National Lab, I couldn't feel more strongly about the importance of these skills. Again, the proposed hybrid schedule cuts 100 minutes of science instructional time per week, including all AP science courses. This should raise questions. How will we prepare our students for the scientific and technological experiences that they will need, both in college and in the workplace, by adopting a schedule that allows students fewer opportunities for inquiry-based, collaborative, and authentic learning modes? How will students fare on AP exams in biology, chemistry, environmental science, and physics when they have 30% less time to engage in lab work, utilize technology, process difficult concepts, or simply have the time to form their own questions? How will they perform against students from other districts that allow extended contact minutes for AP courses? In conclusion, we should not discard a schedule simply because it does not look like what other districts are doing, nor because of any assumption that block scheduling will necessarily improve student performance. One of the most important reasons which drew me to District 207 10 years ago was the Bell schedule. Both then and now, I did not view it as a legacy of less efficient planning. Rather, I saw it as forward-looking and wise. In closing, I ask you to consider the 100 minutes of lost contact time. I thank you for your time and consideration.
You guys, next, I have a card from Steve Krasinski. Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Krasinski. I've been teaching at West for 22 years. I was asked by union leadership to speak today. I sat on the scheduling committee, and I was asked to speak from my perspective as sitting on the scheduling committee, and I told the union that that is not what I wanted to talk about. About 2 years ago, I sat in my department chair's office, Jay Payne, and I said, I got a problem. I took that message from, he said, move up the chain. I took it to Dr. Haugen about 1.5 years ago. I sat in her office, one-on-one for about an hour, and I said, I got a problem. I don't know, about 1 year ago, I was in Dr. Wallace's office, and I said, I got a problem. So keep moving my way up. I'm at the top. I can't make my speech any longer. I guess I got 3 minutes. I did it in an hour then, so I'm going to try and be short. The question the problem that I have is much more broad than a change in schedule. I had planned on coming to speak to you guys without knowing about the change in schedule because of this issue that I see. At West, I don't know, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, we were told we're on a 5-year plan. And in that 5-year plan, our focus is gonna shift from what the kind of education that we all grew up with, that I taught for my first 18 years in education, from a content-based curriculum to a skills-based curriculum. And I went in Dr. Haugen's office and I said, I believe this is good, I want to do this, but for you to expect me at this time it was the next year, I was supposed to implement this curriculum in my classroom for both of my preps at the same time, is just flat out crazy. I have been a person who's given everything I possibly can to the kids in my classroom for my whole career, and I didn't think I could do it. So, anyways, in our 5-year plan at Maine West, last year was the year of implementation, of going to a skills-based curriculum from the start. I experienced days in my classroom that I had never experienced in my 21 years previous. I experienced kids saying things that they'd never said before, understanding things that they'd never said before. I mean, you actually thought that? I've taught 2,000 kids here, and they actually thought that? So I had some great experiences. I also calculated at the end of the year, I have at least 1 month I'm going to gain back in education next year because of days that I wasted. Because
If you could wrap up, I'm sorry, you're at your 3 minutes.
Jeez. So anyways, next year, I have to get better at what I'm doing. That's just delivering the baseline curriculum to the common kid in my class. The year after that, I'll work on, now I know what these kids, the baseline kid can do, now I can work on using formative assessments and things like that to make sure that all the kids do better. In the 4th and the 5th year, that's when I'll start to differentiate instruction. 10 years ago, I was putting year after year, differentiated instruction is what I want to do for my kids. I stopped putting it on my goals for myself because in the last 10 years, I have shifted my major content, what I'm covering, 5 times. I've never got to year 5, the year where I think I can be a really good teacher, because 5 times in that period of time, I've been asked to change. So, my request is this. I want to do what's best for kids really well. And I would like our focus, I would like from the board, I would like you to push us. If you think a skills-based curriculum is the most important thing, I would like you to push us on that for 5 years. And let's see where we're at. Are we doing that well? And if we are, then we'll think about doing something new. And if not, and I kind of think at the end of 5 years, I'd still like to get a lot better at it. Anyways, those are my comments. Thank you.
I have another card from Linda Coyle.
Hi, thank you, Linda Coyle. Thanks for letting me speak here today. I'm coming at you as a parent, but I'm also a member of District 207's Community Advisory Council. So I've got a junior daughter at Maine South, and I've got an 8th grader who's going to be an up-and-comer. So I've got that perspective. But also, I want to talk to you about the Advisory Council. And I don't know if you're all familiar, you probably are, but we meet several times during the year. We meet with Dr. Wallace, and we discuss different things that are of importance to the district, different items that may be in front of the board, always, always dealing with the student first. And one of the things that we've discussed constantly for the past 2 years is a potential change in the Bell schedule. We've looked at this hybrid schedule, we've looked at block scheduling, we've looked at the traditional schedule that Maine South has, the 9-period schedule. And what we have found is that, again, best interest of the student is this hybrid schedule. The kids will get more classroom time with the teachers. They will have less time wasted in between the passing periods. And I know we've heard from the science perspective, and science is incredibly important, but what this gives also is the other subjects, the other teachers a chance to do that deep dive at least one time a week for an hour and a half. They get to do that critical thinking, which they have not been allowed to do. Again, the most important thing is what will give our kids, the students, the best experience and the best springboard for the future. And this hybrid seems to be that way. There's a way. Today I saw, I think it was on the district's website, a lot of answers to questions that a lot of people will have, and I think it's super important for people to go to that, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And before anyone jumps to any conclusions, I think people need to know exactly what will happen with this new schedule. So thank you for letting me speak.
David Firmenich?
Hi, I hadn't had anything prepared for today, but I just wanted to speak just on perspective of a teacher. Once again, thank you, Dr. Schultz, for what you said as well. I wanted to reiterate a little bit more on his of how much it's actually going to impact the science field, which I am also a research scientist at Northeastern Illinois University. So this is something near and dear to me. Is not only is it 100 minutes of contact time per week, if you're looking at the long range scale of things where, and I can only speak for South, but I'm assuming the same for East and West, is most of our students do 4 years of science. Taking these 100 minutes away each week adds up that we actually lose 1 full year of science contact compared to what we are teaching right now when there's a huge push for STEM. STEM is one of the driving forces right now, especially in the Department of Education. So what I'm asking of the board is to really consider what this hybrid change is actually going to do to our students in the realm of STEM. Thank you.
First of all, I thank Board of Education for your service, dedicating your time to serve on the board, so thank you. I come to you as a parent of 2 teachers in District 207. Also, I'm on the Community Advisory Board with Dr. Wallace as well, so I learned about this schedule plan throughout the years we studied it as a Community Advisory Board. So, I'm also an educator myself. My day job, I'm an assistant superintendent at Glenbard District 87 with Fort Large High Schools. And I'm just here to applaud you for investigating this process. I think the community learns more about this new proposed hybrid schedule. They're going to be excited about it. I can tell you, as someone who serves as assistant superintendent in charge of teaching and learning in a large, comparable suburban district, that I'm jealous of this proposed schedule if it eventually goes through. I mean, we're bound by a very traditional 8-period day with 48-minute periods. We're really proud of the data and accomplishments we've had with our kids with that traditional schedule. But the opportunity this hybrid form provides is to provide more instructional time in most classes for most kids across the board, more flexible supports. And I think most exciting is that time for deep inquiry. You know where education is going. It's going towards more engagement, more student interest learning, more inquiry-based learning. This schedule allows for that. So, I'd just like to thank you for doing this. Whenever you look to change the schedule, it's always controversial. So the easy thing would be to do nothing. So just the fact that you're investigating this, I applaud you for it. And I'm sure when the community members attend the upcoming forums over the next year, when they learn more, I think they'll see a lot of support. Thank you.
Mary Beth Conti?
Yes, hi, I'm Mary Beth Conti. I'm a parent of Maine West. I'm also an educator, so you got me. I just found out about this today, and I'm going to tell you I'm not happy. I did some quick research today, just Googled it, and I know you're saying in your question and answers, frequently question and answer, that this is not a block schedule, but it's got block and it's got bell. And you said there is no reliable evidence that the schedule you're proposing, which is not a block schedule, but here that it is in your question and answer, doesn't show that there's no evidence that kids are going to fit up on the AP tests. But I like your evidence where it shows they're gonna actually, but you said, that but their AP scores won't be lowered. I don't want it lower, I want them higher. So if you're gonna do this to improve test scores, I want AP scores higher. I want children with special needs, their grades higher. And I'm not finding any research that I have Googled all day today. I think somebody's not doing their job. And I don't like the fact, really don't like the fact of the non-transparency that you're showing with us. The test, the survey you gave was in 2012 to a little over 1,000 students. We have 3 schools. Maine West has over 2,200 students, I was told, approximately. So it's over 6,000 students. How can you take that data, what kids are saying? Have you seen kids taking the ACTs? Have you seen them doing their math testing? They click, I'm bored. I don't care. You cannot take that evidence, those results, and say, it's perfect. It's not. You want perfect results, and you sit the kids down, every single kid, you take a period, and you say, we have to take the survey. This is why it's very important. We need your data. 1,000 students out of over a $6,000 student district. And the stuff that I'm pulling up on the internet is endless. And I'm not talking about your MTA teachers' results. I'm talking about a study from Argosy University, a dissertation of a doctorate degree. That's one thing I found. If I had more time, I surely would find more. I've been saving things, but like I said, I had no idea this was coming. I never heard of the advisory, or the superintendent advisory board. I never even heard of this till today. Don't you think you should have let parents know? Especially, you got incoming 8th graders coming in, freshmen. I'm a brand new parent to the school, I just finished my first year. I knew nothing. Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. You're not looking at the best interest of the children. You're not listening to your teachers, you're not listening to your advisors, you're not listening to your parents. Done.
We'll move along then to the superintendent's award.
Okay, I have a couple of words. I'm actually going to jump out of my order, and I'm going to say a few words. First of all, for everyone who spoke, thank you very much. David, thank you. Stephen and Dave Roman. David and Stephen have been on the committee, have been on the scheduled study committee for a couple of years. Actually, David, I think you've been on it for even more than that. As Dr. Foyt said, changing a schedule is difficult. There is no easy thing about it. Most human nature is not to want to change, particularly something as difficult as a schedule. Ms. Conte, thank you for speaking. I respect what you had to say, and there are certainly some good takeaways from your point of view. There were a couple things that I want to say, and I want to start with the work that we've done in looking at this schedule, and frankly, in any decision. It is centered, it is grounded always in looking at what we can do to improve student outcomes. And those of you in the audience, even those that disagree with this, that know me, know that in fact that is always our motivation. And so because of the things that we're trying to do for students, because of the evolution of allowing better college and career counseling to allow students to get an opportunity to get an internship, to look at a more holistic look of them so that we can improve outcomes, it intersects with a look at a schedule. I respect every science teacher that says you're going to lose minutes. That is true. There's nothing untrue about that. If we could make every class 70 minutes, I would do it tomorrow. Because I think the things that our science teachers enjoy and argue on behalf of, they're all absolutely relevant. There isn't anything about the things that they've said that are not true. The problem is that we have this unbalanced model that relegates deep time of inquiry for science every single day at the expense of everything else. There's a teacher or two in the audience, and I'm not going to say who you are, but there's a teacher or two in the audience tonight who told me many years ago before we started looking at a schedule that, gosh, can we do something with our schedule? Teaching on a 45-minute period flies by, and I really wish we had more time. And I hear that frequently, and I think that's a legitimate comment. I think someone said there is no such thing as a perfect schedule. There is no such thing as a perfect process. Certainly we can do things to improve this process. It made sense tonight, given really a lot of probably not accurate information out there, to take a minute and stop. We're not in any hurry. At first blush, the earliest we would do this would be in 2018-19, so we can slow down. I'm comfortable talking to parents. Ms. Conte invites you to come. I'll sit down and talk with you specifically about this schedule. We'll talk. And frankly, if there are any other parents in the audience, I invite you to do that. Call me. We'll sit and talk about this. In the upcoming weeks, we will schedule each building some forums to talk to parents about this. I'm comfortable that once people really understand this, they will understand the benefits to their students. I think a lot of our teachers understand it. The reason that it isn't the block is it's called a hybrid for a reason. It takes the best elements of a regular schedule, and that was one of the things we looked at as a schedule study committee. We actually eliminated, kind of voted off the islands and things that we didn't want. One of those was a block schedule, a true AB block schedule. And the biggest reason was that those classes sometimes only meet twice a week. So the hybrid is a relatively new schedule. It's used by some innovative high schools in America. It combines the very best elements of a regular schedule along with those good elements of the block, one of which is the ability to do the deep dive. These arguments on behalf of science are right. The problem is they don't stop being right just in science. Even Dave said, you know, what about STEM? Well, STEM also includes English and mathematics. Under the current model, they're limited, most of our classes, to 45 minutes a day. Under the proposed model, engineering and math would gain time, So STEM is not just science. It's engineering and math as well. And the more evolved term is STEAM, to include the arts. Life has science in it everywhere. There's science in art, there's science in social studies, there's whole branches of science to the history and the implications of science. There's science in physical education, there's science in music, there's science in everything. And taking enough time to do deep inquiry learning in every classroom, whether it's social science, whether it's mathematics, whether it's English, I think is valuable. And I think it's worth fighting for, and it's worth taking a little bit more time to talk about. I think it's worth doing. Here's the other thing that I will tell you. In some year, 20 years from now in this room, they may be fighting over some superintendent that wants to change the schedule. And I predict that if we change to the hybrid 4, on that night, there will be teachers in this audience fighting not to move away from the hybrid 4. And the reason is because once you get there, I think teachers and students, and this is a signature feature of it, are going to enjoy the fact that it actually is a stress reducer as a schedule. When you take those 2 block days and you cut the periods in half, it actually is a stress reducer. And it's a stress reducer for kids and for teachers. So I'm willing to take a risk on that. I believe in the grand scheme of things, particularly for the support for counseling, that it is absolutely in our students' best interest. It will provide more internship time, and frankly, I think for teachers, it'll provide more professional development time. So we're going to take a moment, we will pause on that, but there are 2 things in particular I want to address, and then I'll stop. The assertion that students will be able to take electives, absolutely not true. And in fact, just so you know, the only reason that we brought this tonight is it's Dr. Thiele's last meeting. Didn't want to do it because we've got 2 board members missing. But Dr. Thiele has been involved with scheduling, every element of scheduling in our system, plus he's been a part of the schedule study committee, and it's the last meeting when we were superintendent over at Dammers Grove. That was really the biggest reason to have this tonight, so that Dr. Thiele could be here to speak to this if we need to speak to it. We have modeled the electives very carefully. Having any schedule change that would eliminate electives or lower electives was a non-starter from the very beginning, and those of you on the schedule study committee, again, even if you don't agree with it, know that we have said that from day 1. So electives are not going to be cut. The second thing, support for needy students, which is another talking point that's been out there. This one is maybe the most disappointing, because not only is that not true, it's the furthest from the truth. this model actually provides tremendously more time for supports for students. And again, those of you that know me know that I care deeply about this, we care deeply about this, and the board cares deeply about this. So the support minutes actually increase under the model proposed. And the flexibility within those support minutes actually increase. So we'll stop there. Folks in the audience, teachers again, thank you for coming. I respect where you're coming from. If you want to talk about this, schedule time. I'm happy to meet with any of you this summer and talk deeply about it. If not, we'll talk once we get back to school. And parents will be talking, and again, you're welcome as parents to spend some time coming in and talking about it with me if you want to just talk individually. So I'm going to stop on that. We are going to table tonight the vote, as we have already announced, for all the reasons that we've already said. But we will come back to this discussion at a later date. I've got 2 awards tonight. At the end of the year, I always give a couple of awards. And the first one I'm going to give to an individual who, in my estimation, has been a very visionary leader, has been a very honest broker in this business. You know, I think we agree more than we disagree, but sometimes we don't agree. You know, we have different viewpoints, we have different motivations, we have different constituencies that we defend and protect, and that's just part of the job. There's natural tension in the system. But Greg and I have had the opportunity to work with 4 different union presidents in our time together, and each of them, in my estimation, has been an exemplary professional educator, has been a fair and honest broker, and has been someone that we've been able to work through things with in an appropriate way. And I think the story that is one of my favorite stories about Mike is a few years ago we took a group, a team of teachers, I think some of the teachers maybe in the room, maybe with you there, we took a team of teachers to the Learning and Brain Conference in Boston. It's one of my favorite conferences. I'm a total neuroscience junkie. And Mike, because he is a learner, I mean, really attended to that conference, took it seriously, really went on a learning mission with us. He even learned how to tweet. He was doing a tweet deck with us, and it was a cool adventure. And I would just say this: the more that I've gotten to know Mike Bailey, the more that I have respected him and admired him as a person and as a leader in this district. And so, Mike, on behalf of the District 207 board, and certainly me and the administration you work with, I want to give you a superintendent's award for exemplary service to student, staff, and District 207 community. Mike Bailey. Okay, and my second award goes to an individual who has been a really transformational leader. I was fortunate to interview and recommend him to be hired in 2007. I was assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction at that time and had oversight for technology program. And we weren't very good, and we've got teachers in the room that were around then, and we weren't very good. And we had an opportunity to hire, and when I hire, I'm looking for someone who can move us forward. And that's never going to change. We have a duty in this job, a moral obligation even, to continue to improve. We have an increasingly challenging student population. They're getting poorer, they're getting more diverse. We have to get better to stay even. There is no place in public education for status quo. Status quo means you're moving backwards. And if public education is going to survive into the 22nd century, we don't need to be better than charters, than voucher systems. We have to be 10 times better. We have to be 100 times better. And we can be. We can be. But it takes leadership, and it takes courage, and it takes a conviction to continue to improve continuously on behalf of our students. We're a really good school district. We can be better. Hank Feely, when I hired him, look at the picture on the wall. There's literally a pimple on it. He was literally a pimple-faced kid from Cohen High School. I'm not even exaggerating, it's out there.
Taking a picture down all the way out.
No.
I know.
But
That's district property.
I actually passed on a couple of seasoned directors of technology to hire Hank. And the reason I did is because he had some hustle, he had some drive, he had some vision, And I'm kind of intuitive on things like that and felt like he was going to move us forward. I asked him one thing. I said, I want District 207 to be among the best instructional technology programs in the nation. Last year, we won a Content and Curriculum Award from the International Society for Content and Curriculum. This year, we were just named one of the 14 most innovative districts in America. Maine Township, us. Much of that, along with our teachers, along with our staff, along with our tech staff, is really due to the leadership that Hank has displayed here in District 207. I wrote in a recommendation letter for Governor's Grove that I live in the world of superintendents, but I value talent, and if Hank's in the room, you've got the most talented person in the room. He's going to be an awesome superintendent in District 99. He's going to be transformational there. He's been transformational for us. Jason, you got big shoes to fill. But he's helped move us forward. He's helped us get better at serving our students, and that is something we can never lose sight of in terms of why we're here. It's why schools were built. First, last, and always. So with that, I want to read what we wrote because Hank has a nickname, most of you don't know it. Thank you for your innovation, leadership, and instructional technology, Hank Grasshopper Thiele. And I named him that a few years ago, but Barb's picked up on it, and so our nickname for him is Grasshopper because he's been on an interesting learning journey. But his ears have gotten bigger here recently when he's understood that he's going to sit in a different chair here soon. But just been a tremendous leader, and he's been a tremendous team member. He's been a great colleague, and he's going to do wonderful things at District 99. Hank Thiele, superintendent.
Best of luck. Thank you for everything.
I am done. That's enough for me.
Okay, we move along to updates from board members. Are there any updates from board members at this time?
Not an update, but just quickly, echo the situation. We are, like more of a global educational world. We are very competitive, especially now the world is not as business or anything else, but it's an education. And when we look at the worldwide, we are really need to be globally innovative. And in order to do that, we need a leadership as that time. And I see that whatever we can, will be always to the first, but related to a global innovative mindset and really help them contribute. So with all the programs and the schedules, that for our big country, we will be really working hard and really helping the students and getting them in very competitive in our educational competitive society. And we can even get it like Finland or Singapore. They're getting a very highly educated, innovative leadership from worldwide. This is something that we can definitely keep a close eye on and see how we can able to implement it and be competitive and possibly implement to our school district, something very seriously think about. That's what I should.
We'll move along to report from the education committee. Our education committee chair is not here, but Barb, do you want to?
Talk about a schedule.
Yes. That was the meeting where we had an hour and a half meeting actually, where we went through for the education presentation and schedule, two schedules that we had with the education. That was the
Moving along to the monthly status of finances.
In your board packet is the April financial statement. You can see both revenue and expenditures are within budget. When you look at revenue, the only variance from previous years is in O&M, and that's $5 million transfer from the capital project fund, which is later on in the agenda, and will be made in the month of June, and that will put the revenue in line with previous years. Also, as part of the financial report, we have our workers' compensation renewal. We belong to a cooperative called Secondary School Risk Management Program. And our workers' compensation insurance is on a July 1st renewal. So SCRIP will be approving this renewal information tomorrow. This is presented to the board as information because once you're in the co-op, you are subject to the renewal so that we can bid the insurance. You can see that really the bulk of the increase is related to increasing what we call the SCRIP layer, and that's the amount of claims that SCRIP is at risk of paying. If we have a good claims year, that money does not get paid out. 207 is largely the cause of SCRIP having to increase its layer because we had 2 claims this year that were above our $150,000 self-insured retention, but they'll be below the 500 insured retention of SCRIP. So we're using many of those SCRIP dollars here at 207. I'll entertain any questions that anybody has on either the April financial statements or the workers' compensation.
Questions? Thank you, Mary. Instructional services. Barb?
There are no reports.
Let's see, well, my other items, we have 3 requests this month, today for a process, for being processed.
Okay, could I have a motion on the consent agenda, items A through O?
7, 8 through 1.
Second. Are there any comments or questions on any of these items? I do want to mention that one of these items is a resolution honoring the members of the administration who are retiring. Teaching staff. Teaching staff. Thank you all for your loyalty, cooperation, and your years of dedicated service.
Yeah, there's administration staff, teaching staff, and also support staff, so we've got a pretty large retirement class this year. There's a lot of great names on here, and have served the district very well.
Okay. There's no comments or questions. Please call the roll. Lee?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Collins?
Aye.
Sullivan? Owen? Aye. Okay, item 8, Board of Education Policies and Procedures. Do I have a motion on, or let me take it one policy? Okay. Second? Okay. Okay. Go.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
We've talked about all of these in policy committee, in first readings, in all of them with the exception of the job description for the assistant principal for student services. That one we talked about at the last board meeting in closed session. So I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you have on any of these policies that fall under my area of
Are there any questions? Hearing none, take the roll. Childers? Aye. Collins?
Aye.
Lee? Sullivan? Owen? Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to table number 9, resolution approving the high school buses until
TBD.
so until September.
Oh, because we're gonna wait for the teachers to get back in and do the same thing.
So until at least September
At least in
2016.
Discussion? Just to clarify, this is a motion, tabling the vote on the hybrid four-bus schedule.
Yes, this will be good. It was September because we will make an announcement by the school, inviting the parents to that. That's why
Let's go ahead and start the
Right.
parents' stuff to start.
I think it's very important to do so because I think communication is a lot.
Any other discussion? Okay, we take the roll. Sullivan?
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye. Okay, item 10, may I have a motion on approval of bids and awarding of contracts, item A?
I would move items A through F.
Second.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments?
Second, I think the contracts that were studied before.
Brand new ones?
And the mechanical is the ventilation system repair to the main south pool, so that is a unique contract because that involves construction.
And the server equipment is a new vendor because
Did you say
and we are continuing to do sort of efforts to reaching out to the local business community as always. Everything out for everybody. And also the pilot.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, can you call the roll?
Childers.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye. Okay,
For 11, we're actually requesting this item be tabled until July because the Illinois Department of Labor has not published the June 1st prevailing wage.
Oh, I'd like to that we agree to comply with it when it's posted by the states and put on a map. I'd like to make a motion under item 11 because I've got a similar problem where we turned around and proposed that we say we're going to comply with the prevailing wage rate because we're required to do that. So, make a motion to comply with the prevailing wage as established by Illinois revised statute.
and you don't have to come back, is what you're saying.
It's really not optional
It's a lot of time to law.
because we have to.
So we're voting on it when.
And when they pass it, we're required to follow it anyway, so.
Okay, any discussion on this? Can you take the roll?
Sullivan.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Lee. Collins.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye. Okay, item 12, can I have a motion on?
I'm going to move 12 sub 1. Adopt the following resolution for District 207. Be resolved by the Board of Education of Green Township High School District 207. The County of Cook State of Illinois, Mary Lewis is to attend the business. Being is hereby appointed to prepare attendance budget for said school district for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016 and June 30, 2017. The standard budget shall be filed with Secretary of the Board of Education. Be resolved by the Board of Education of Green Township High School District 207, County of Cook State of Illinois. The public hearing will be held on the standard budget for 2016-2017 on August 1st, 2016 at 6 p.m. And the following notice of public hearing be published at least 30 days prior to the August 1st, 2016 date. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given by the Board of Education, School District 207, in the County of Cook State of Illinois, intended budget for said school district for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016 and June 30, 2017 will be on file and conveniently available for public inspection at District 207 Administration Center, 1177 South Key Road, Rutgers, Illinois, and at the 7 public libraries located within Green Township from after 9 a.m. on the first day of July 2016. Notice is further hereby given. The public hearing on said budget will be held 6 p.m. on the first day of August 2016 in the boardroom here of District 207 Administration Center in this said school. So moved.
Discussion or questions?
I would just suggest that the time be 5:55 or the board meeting be 6:05. It'll be scheduled two different things at the same time.
I agree that this would be first at 6 o'clock and schedule the board meeting for 6:05.
So you're,
No, no amendment, because this is really talking about the public hearing. So we move the public hearing at 6 o'clock.
okay. Call the roll on this item?
Collins.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
I'd like to move 12 sub 2 regarding NSER be resolved by the Board of Education, Green Township High School District 207, County of Cook State of Illinois. The public hearing will be held on the 2016-2017 NSER tentative budget on
August 1st, 2016, 6 p.m. And following notice of public hearing be published at least 30 days prior to August 1st, 2016. Notice of public hearing, notice is hereby given by the Board of Education, House School District 207, County of Cook, State of Illinois, the tentative budget for the North Suburban Educational Region for Vocational Education and joint agreement for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016, ending June 30, 2017 will be on file and conveniently available for public inspection for the District Administration Center, 177 South Road, Parkridge, Illinois, from and after 9 a.m. on the first day of July 2016. And this is further given the public hearing on said budget will be held at 6 p.m. on the first day of August 2016 in the board room of the Health and Safety Trust Education Center in the said school district immediately following the public hearing for District 207.
Second? Second. Okay. Any questions, discussion? Take the roll.
Collins?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Lee? Owen?
Aye. Okay, and I have a motion on item 13. Resolution approving the First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for the Township of the City of Parkridge.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or comments on this?
This is just as discussed, we've been working on this for a long time, several years, Mary and I, and this is a culmination of a long process, but we believe that this is fair to all parties involved. Recommending adoption of the intergovernmental agreement.
Do we need to hold this sort of motion as said, have the,
I would just like to make a comment that Mary and Ken work closely, Mary, how, to really thank you for all the work that you did on this agreement, because when we first talked about it, it was like a magical potion, and nobody understood anything, and you really made it not only comprehensible, but you also made it work for the city, and I want to thank you for that.
no further discussion? Take the roll.
Collins?
Aye.
Sullivan? Childers? Lee? Owen?
Aye. Item 14, I have a motion on the intergovernmental agreement on Cook Community Service Center. Second?
Aye, second.
Any discussion on this? Mrs. Oden?
This is what we did annually when I started in 2005. We used to pay for about 50 seats a year and use more than that. Today we pay for 10. It's used that. So this is part of our longer journey to make sure that we serve students in District 207 and not out of district places.
Other questions or comments? Jenny, would you call the roll?
Sullivan?
Aye.
Lee? Childers? Collins?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye. Okay, item 15 is calendar items. If there's anything, does anything need to
I
be
just-
added?
I just think that we should insert the answer meeting on our calendar for these 2 August
Are there any other public comments or communications at this time? Okay, I have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of review of closed session minutes and employment, compensation, performance, or dismissal of specific
Childers? Collins? Lee? Sullivan? Owen?
Aye. We are in closed session. Return to open session.
Second.
Jenny?
Childers? Aye. Collins?
Aye.
Lee? Sullivan?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye. Could I have a motion on item 20A through G? And there is an appendice of an support staff appointment, item E.
I will remove 20A through G as appended.
Thank you. Is there a second on that?
So, Second.
Yeah, make.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, any discussion? Ginny, call the roll, please.
Childers.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sullivan. Collins.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye. Can I have a motion on other business approval of closed session minutes, please?
I so move.
Oh, second.
Okay, any discussion? Everyone's turned them in? Yes. Call the roll, please.
Childers.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Abstain.
And Owen.
Aye.
We did need you for that one.
Okay. Could I have a motion on item 22A, approval of support staff compensation for 2016, 2017?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Sullivan.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
McGrath. Oh, I'm sorry, Owen.
Aye.
Forcing the
This is, that's that,
other. Okay.
just so we have a record.
And we
of
fix that.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that with that, okay? Okay, may I have a motion on item 22B, approval of administrator's performance appraisal points for 2015-16 and compensation for 2016-17?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Lee.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Sullivan. Owen.
Aye. I want to give you that, so you can give you that. I just want to keep that, thank you. Could I have a motion on item 22C, approval of superintendent's performance goals compensation for 2015-2016?
I'll move that the Maine Township High School District 207 Board of Education approve the superintendent's performance goals compensation for 2015-2016 in the amount of $50,000 for able to substantially met or exceed the annual performance goals as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Ginny, please call the roll.
Collins.
Aye.
Sullivan. Lee.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye. Could I have a motion on item 22D, approval of multi-year contracts?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
What's your contract on?
This is the contracts that we've received notification about for all the retirements, moving to usually a 3-year
Administrative retirements.
administrative retirements to get them to retirement. Okay, any other discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Lee.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
McGrath. I'm sorry.
Owen.
Owen.
Aye, sorry. That's okay. Boy, okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Take the roll. Do we need to vote on that? No.
Favor.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.